So this video is self-explanatory and will show what the challenges we have in the recent, let's say, 2 decades. It's a man's thing. Come on, let's be honest. It's someone trying, like, I want my album to sound louder than this guy album. I want mine to be. It's a man's thing, and the things start to because of when you finish the recording, there's a process called mastering. So the mastering process, you're basically adjusting the music, the song, into the medium. So you're gonna have a master for cassette tapes, a master for vinyl. Cassette tapes are coming back now. It's a thing. It's a thing now, yeah. And you have a mastering for CD. You have a mastering for iTunes, mastering for YouTube. So every medium, they require different mastering. So it's just to make sure the music doesn't overload the playback device. Sometimes in the days of CDs, if you send some audio that was out of the standard, the factory will refuse to build your CD and say it's out of the standard. You need to fix that thing in the mastering. Okay. So even jokes started to show up like, don't worry, we'll fix that in mastering. It's just a joke. We cannot fix musical stuff in the mastering. Okay, so these videos explain where we got to the point that was so loud, so destroyed, that it's self-explanatory.
This is how the so-called loudness war is damaging the sound quality of modern CDs. First, I'll play an example of a track from 1989. Notice the clarity and punch of the drums. Since the two drum hits are already maximum volume, if we want the track louder on the recording, we have to take the quieter bits and turn them up. If this track had been released in 2006, someone would probably have insisted that it be this loud. Now it sounds much louder, and in the short term, louder can seem better. But you own the volume knob, not the record producer. So you adjust your volume to find your preferred level. Here we have the same volume as the original. Unfortunately, the loudness treatment permanently changes the sound. Do you notice what's missing? The red sections mark where the punch and clarity would have been. Let's hear what that maximized track sounds like at regular listening volume. Wimpy, loud sound. All the punch of the drums is gone, along with much of the feel of the music that comes from some parts being louder than others. When there's no quiet, there can be no loud. The original makes you turn up your volume, and when you do, it sounds great.
The original again. Okay, so that shows what happened in the latest 2 decades. I would say that music from the 70s and the 80s, they start to become remastered to be released for like commercial acts, like commercial album in CDs and stuff, and people are complaining like, and then comes the discussion: the vinyl is better than CD and all that stuff. So I think this discussion is not very pertinent. There's a very emotional component regarding vinyl. In those days, you would like spend a whole day just to buy one album. You would leave your home, drive or get a bus, go to the record store, waiting the whole week to get to that moment, the money that you earn, that you're gonna buy a record and you don't know which one, and you're gonna choose by the cover. You choose this crazy cover that I don't know this band, but that must sound amazing. You take that record and your heart's racing. You get into the bus, you go home, and you take the thing out of the plastic, you put it, and you're there, like just to worship whatever comes through the speaker. So there was a very emotional process. Nowadays, you just swapping into the next song and there's no excitement on that. So it's very rare to see something that really shows up to us as something, wow, that's amazing. And I think there's this biggest component that in that. Vinyl is very faithful, but there's a lot of noise because the stylus, the needle, is dragging into something physical. There is a noise in there. So digital is here to stay. But there's people that still love vinyl and they collect it, whatever. I don't I don't disagree with them. Okay? So I was talking about that lady that decided to make some laws to regulate the loudness sensation between the advertisement, the commercials, and the program on TV. A series of other um, standards were brought up in the whole world. Even Apple iTunes really stopped this crazy loudness war that we just watched. The iTunes started putting a resource called Soundcheck. Soundcheck in your iTunes, when you have it enabled, it analyzes the loudness levels of every track in your library, and they put these tracks to play at the same loudness level, so you don't have to adjust volume between songs. It will be a nightmare that you're like in the gym, listen to your tracks, and then you need to go there and adjust the volume at every track. So when iTunes started doing that, and then the iPod came, and guys that are under 20 years old, they will not even know what that is. And the iPod was a music player from Apple that you put all your music there. And the record companies start to realize, hey, people are listening music through iPods. We don't have to master that loud anymore because everything will play as the same volume, the same loudness to them. So now we can start mastering without that much compression because everything will sound the same level. So iTunes kind of saved music in that sense. Quality of the recordings for sure. And all this normative came after the Calm Act around 2008, 2009. The first standards came in 2006, the ITU. And they developed a way to evaluate how loud we perceive music and program, dialogue, and everything else. And they developed this standard who consisted of some frequency filtering. So they filter the sound before going to the meter. They do mean square calculation, just like we did with the RMS values. Okay. They weight the channels. If it's a stereo, just two signals, left and right. That doesn't apply much. But when you have surround speakers, when the speakers around the listener, it's a 5.1, 7.14 Atmos surround system. What happens in the back has a bigger weight, a larger weight in the measurement, because that's super distracting, something very loud coming from behind. And they even put in the measurement a little gate, which is moments of silence, for example. They're not considered into the program. So if they consider the moments of silence, let's say you have a very loud section, gunshots and cars bumping into each other, bombs exploding, and that's raising the loudness levels up and the numbers are going up. And then you have 10 minutes of a scene that's just silent, just a heart beating. When the guy realizes that he's dying in slow motion. And that will drop the level so low that all that loud section would not be accounted because you have 10 minutes of silence. So they thought all about that. That happens in television and movies. And they created this very clever standard. That's the ITU BS 1770 and its versions in several countries, which give you this way of measuring levels in a very interesting way. And I have here one of these physical units. Let me see if its thing is patched properly. That I can use it to measure the loudness levels. Okay, string 3 and 4. Okay, so what this thing does is you can set on the meter for every lap what time that means. I can put it like a clock. Every lap is 1 minute. So I can see here on the last minute all my levels of my program I had in the last minute. That helps me to see if some sections were too quiet or too loud. I can change the duration for 4 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour. So I can watch and analyze my whole movie that I'm mixing to see if there's one section that maybe was too loud, maybe was too soft, and I have a physical, visual representation of the levels across that time span. So I use this thing to do my post-production work. So every week I have to mix the video announcements for our community, and I ask the files from our media department. They send me the files, and I adjust the speech and the music so you have a steady level across the whole announcement. That means no phrase, because usually it's like this. Every week's like this. The person starts speaking, welcome this week, and the end of the phrase is already out of air and the volume goes down. So I need to adjust that. I need to reduce the amount of volume at the beginning of the phrase. I need to put more gain on the end of the phrase. So I'm doing this phrase by phrase, sometimes even pieces of word by pieces of word, syllable by syllable. So when I finish that, I have a very steady program. But this was done in post-production. I had all the time in the world to do that. And live is a little bit different. We need to use a lot of tools in order to achieve something similar to that. And what tools we have? We don't have DeLoreans. We don't have time machines to anticipate when the guy is going to scream, when the guitar player is going to play too soft. And so we need to react all the time. And mixing live it's a dance. We are all the time trying to correct the performance. If I had a perfect band, I wouldn't have to do anything. And that's called an orchestra. In an orchestra, there's no sound. You sit there, the maestro is there. He has put the low volume instruments next to him, and he put in a large quantity. So they have the percussion, which is very loud, very far away from him, all the percussion. But at his position, the timpani or the snare drum will be as loud as the violins who are very close to him, but there are 24 violins are needed to sound as loud as one snare drum. And the distance also helps to compensate that. So in the orchestra, at the maestro position, the conductor position, everything sounds at the same level. It's amazing. So when you record in orchestra, it's amazing because you don't have to do anything. You just go above his head, put 2 microphones or more, maybe some few microphones here and there to just get sections that are soloing very softly, and you just record the thing. It's amazing. So another very important concept here in audio, the most experienced are the musicians, the better they are, the singers, less work you have to do. And this is a paradox, because you see this great concert, great sound engineers say, how does this guy make that? But once you step and you go and stay in his or her shoes, and you're dealing with this amazing talent, you're gonna realize that you are also an amazing sound engineer. But it takes time. For me, it took a lot of time. Took 18 years to then I could realize, wow, I know how to mix. It's because I never had the chance to be working with people that were that professional that would make my life so easy in that sense. So it's very hard. And I remember when I realized that, the first time I realized that was something like, I was maybe 10 years into I was like 5, 6 years into this occupation, working as sound engineer. And one day I received a band in my church, and their sound guy didn't show up. And I just turned the sound mixer on, and they start playing. And this amazing sound came to the speakers, and I said, we didn't do anything. Why they sound so good? And I felt the greatest sound engineer on the planet, and I realized it wasn't me. It was the band. And I remember very emotionally thanking to God and say, thank you, Lord, because if that guy show up, I would think it was him. And today I learned this lesson. It was not me, it wouldn't be him, it was the band. Remember the golden pipe? If you put crap here, crap goes on the other side. If you put good things here, good things go on the other side. That's what we do. We don't do miracles. It's a little more expensive. We can do, but we shouldn't. Okay? So, and let's say in 10, 12 years after that experience, I forgot about that. You very easily you forget about that. And when you had that possibility again, you are reminded that you need to have good talent. You need to have good instruments. Things need to be properly done at the source so you can have a good result. Guys, let me know if it's getting too warm and we can turn the AC on. Is it too warm? Yeah? Pastor Vico, can you help us with the Mazgan, please? Thank you. Okay, so the loudness meter is just a way to read the levels. All the work to make the thing stable needs to be done at the musician level, at the singer level, or I can correct here, with a lot of work and a lot of powerful tools in the mixer. Okay? So let's understand what this guy is measuring. So we have here, first of all, the loudness meter will read in numbers that most of the time are negative, and the top of the scale is 0. Okay? Why? Because we are using as a base decibels, and decibels, what we see here, dB, these are comparison units. So 0 decibels means no difference. Okay? So when you say 0 dB is in the top of the scale, that means it's no difference to the top of the scale. That's full volume. Okay? If I have full volume, I have a full scale. And the top of the scale is 0 dB. That means 0 dB is equal to full scale. It's just that. Everything below the top of the scale, if the top of the scale is 0, everything below will be negative. That's what we're talking about here. Okay? So we have, and the units, they can be called loudness LKFS, loudness K-weighted full scale, or loudness unit full scale. So we're going to say, oh, the target that I'm looking for, the loudness level is minus 17 LKFS or LUFS. That's what we're going to talk in terms of loudness. We're not going to use dB. Okay, we're going to use that unit. So the first one, the program loudness, it's the average of loudness levels since you started to measure them. So when you hit play and the loudness meter starts reading levels, it will start to integrate levels, like averaging levels all the time. Let's say you were watching this program for 10 minutes, so your program loudness will be the average of this last 10 minutes that you're listening. If you want to have a new read, you just press reset and then it starts counting again. Okay? The max short-term loudness okay? Wait. Yeah. The momentary loudness or short loudness is the loudness measured on a time window of a 400 milliseconds. Okay? So this one shows what's happening at that exact moment. You're going to look for the momentary, or sometimes they call it sliding loudness. Going to show what's happening right there. Okay? Short term, I think, is 1 second. The same thing, but in 3 seconds. Okay? So the short term shows what's happening on the last 3 seconds. So it's a little longer and gives you a good view of that last section. Let's say a phrase. Let's say a little verse on the song. So if you want to see how loud is that, you can just look at this one. Okay, loudness range is the range between the softest and the loudest part of the program. And also excludes the top 5% and the lowest 10%. So the loudness range shows how stable is the loudness level on your program. But it will also exclude the 5% top, which is a gunshot, a clap, a boom, which is very loud. And the guy who was doing the movie, he wants to shake your chair, he wants to shake you, get your attention, but it's too short. So all this very loud stuff, they're gonna be excluded from the average measurements. Also the lowest 10. The sections that someone was just whispering, it was just one scene, one shot. And it would ruin the whole picture if you consider those quietest moments. So the loudness range is very important because shows if your program, let's say you're mixing a movie, if there's sections that are too loud and sections that are too soft. If you're trying to avoid that, you want to see a low loudness range value. That means the sound is stable, it's not changing very much. If you're doing an orchestra video, let's say a video of André Rieu doing a concert or an orchestra, a philharmonic, you want to see a larger number because orchestra is all about that. You have sections that they're playing pianissimo. Boom! It's everything. Go crazy. That's part of the thing, So in orchestra, you want to see that huge loudness range. So every type of content, you need to achieve the goal for that thing. If it's a rock concert, you're going to have like 2-3 loudness units of range. Everything is almost the same. The next one is a true peak max. Okay, this is very, very important, guys. And this is very hard to achieve also because we're going to see that the devices that we use to tame the peaks in audio is called compressor. Why is it called compressor? They even have a version of it that's called limiter, which makes more sense. The compressor is a circuit that you set one adjustment and tell to the compressor, everything that goes above it, I want you to cut, to not let the level go above. Okay? But I also want to be able to hear whatever is here very soft. How do I do that? I put gain, amplification. So this thing with soft becomes mid-level. And everything that was supposed to be very loud is going to be mid-loud. So from soft to very loud, now you have from medium to medium loud. So you compress the dynamic range. The dynamic means variation. So now things are more stable. The whispering parts, you can listen, you can hear them pretty good. And the screaming parts, they're not going to be that loud. So that's a good program for you to watch, and you don't have to be changing the volume of your TV. So a compressor is called a limiter when this procedure of limiting the maximum level is very strict. It doesn't let you go above the value that you established. And I'm not going to go inside the compressor. We had a whole course about that. But in digital, it's very critical that these levels don't exceed the maximum level allowed by the medium. Why? Because I told you, digital, it's a letter. When you run out of paper, you start writing on the table. So you need to be very precise and say, you don't go over the paper. You stay on the space that you have. And the most precise way of doing that is using a true peak limiter. And most of sound mixers, they don't give you a true peak limiter. What is a true peak limiter? It's a limiter that prevents what we call the intersample peaks. Okay? So here I have the values of my samples. Okay, this one, the sample 47,911. In a second, for example, of digital audio, you have 44,000 samples. It's like snapshots. And then you put them together, you have a movie, right? That's what happens in a camera. In audio, something also similar like that. And let's say I'm trying to register digitally this very loud sound. On this sample here, the 12 one, the level achieved already the maximum value, which is the white line. And, sorry, this will be the maximum level, the red one. So let's say I have here a maximum level of 0 dB, the full scale. And also in the next sample, I also have a 0 dB full scale sample. The problem is between these two samples, I have a summation of two signals, one at 0 and another one at 0. When you're summing decibels, that gives you a 3 dB more. So between the sample, you're gonna have a value that's even louder than the median. It's a phenomenon. That's called the intersample peak. So when the audio is being reproduced, you might have a signal that's louder than the equipment can reproduce. So in digital, we need to have very strict limiters that we call them true peak limiters. They prevent this problem here, okay? And it's very sad that doesn't come to my mind a mixer in 2025 that has a true peak limiter built in on it. It's a shame. It's a total shame because we're doing everything digital. Everything's going to YouTube nowadays. Every soundboard should have that, and we don't. And we need to use specific hardware. Like this mixer is it's cutting edge technology. Actually, it's made here in the country. And they give me software that I would only be able to access in a studio. And I can have it live on my mixer, okay? And this mixer, let me see if I can find this thing. It's complicated, guys. Remember, I'm a sound guy. Here it is, okay. Because this mixer is set to preview and then cut. We need to change this thing. So for example, this mixer, I have this plugin, which is a software that I put it on my on the output that I'm sending to the stream for YouTube, for wherever. I have here the possibility. Oh, I don't have the zone here. I have the possibility here to set a maximum peak level and turn the true peak limiter on. Once I do that, I can rest assured that the level is not gonna go over that amount. It's better now, right? Not too big. Okay. So here I have set my true peak to -3. So the level of my stream will never go above -3. Does that mean that I'm gonna have no problems? No. If I mix too loud, I'll be hitting the limiter so much, and I'll have the same problems that I had with that. Remember that noise? Beep. Then we start distorting and beep. I'm gonna start to have the same problems. Things will sound very aggressive. Okay. So can we have that thing back on the screen? So the true peak limiter, it's vital for me to send my audio proper to a digital streaming platform like YouTube. And YouTube has their own standards. They say you can never send to us audio that has a peak level of above -1.0 dB loudness units. So the maximum level that YouTube accepts, it's 1 dB before the full scale. What happens if I upload something to YouTube that's above that? Let's say hits 0. If by one fraction of a second my sound hits 0, YouTube will say, okay, I told you, now I'm going to get your 0 and bring it to -1. Wait, but you bring everybody down. Yeah, I told you. Because of this little peak, I need to accommodate it to -1, but everything else will be reduced also 1 decibel, 1 loudness unit. So YouTube is not putting a compressor there, a limiter to limit the top. He will just use gain to accommodate your mixing. So that means if you have, let's say the target you're looking for your program is -12, and you hit it, but by a fraction of a second, the sound hit it 0, now YouTube will make everything 1 dB, 1 loudness unit softer, and your target will become 1 loudness unit softer. You're going to be -13. But you're going to have the reading here say, I did it. And when you check on YouTube, it was a 1 dB softer. Okay? So YouTube standard loudness target is something around -14. That means if your video is below -14, YouTube will not change the volume. It will just show your video is, let's say you upload a video whose loudness level, the integrated, is -24. And YouTube's target is -14. YouTube will say, hey, your video is 10 dB below the target. It was supposed to be -14. You send -24, your video is 10 dB lower than the target. And it will tell you that. So on YouTube, we have where's the target? Okay. We have a way to measure that. So when you upload the video, you click with the right button of the mouse and you click on Stats for Nerds, and YouTube will show you that your loudness is this amount of dB below or above the target. Let's say you upload now a video that the loudness is very loud, let's say -10 loudness units. The target is supposed to be -14. But you upload something with -10. So how many dBs are you above the level? 4. So YouTube will show you that your content loudness is +4 dB. Your video was too loud. What YouTube did? Reduce your whole video 4 dBs. But wait, I put that special compression to achieve that very loud. Okay, good for you. So now everybody will listen at 4 dB lower. That means that there's no point trying to mix something that very loud, because YouTube will bring your video to play as loud as everyone else. So as we zap through videos, as a video music video, as from a service, church service, to news, to a vlog, everything sounds the same. We never had to adjust the volume because people understood that and they're producing content at the same target level. If you upload your videos at that target level, your video will sound as good, as loud as most of professional videos on YouTube. That's what we're trying to achieve. All of that I told you was to get to this point. So your videos can sound as loud as any other video on YouTube. And you don't have to master it very loud, to put too much compression, to put too much volume. Because YouTube, if it's too loud, it will bring it down when it plays.
So is it better if you don't know to push things on a higher volume to YouTube than a lower volume?
If you push to a higher volume to YouTube, that means that you have to sacrifice dynamic. You have to compress a lot to have those very loud levels. If you do it properly, because if it's too loud, if you're not doing properly, probably you're distorting at some point. Probably you're distorting at the entrance of the input of the encoder, video encoder. Probably you're distorting at the output of the mixer. At some point, if that volume is too loud, you're gonna hit a digital clip and it would sound terrible. I never heard a very loud YouTube video that two options. It was very well done, professionally done, or it was poorly done. It's the two extremes. And you have people that are still mastering stuff very loud. The Beatles just released a song a few years ago. The Beatles. And the song was minus 6.4, if I'm not mistaken, loudness units. That's the loudest thing I ever heard in my life. I don't think sound good. I don't know why the guy that did this thing wanted that loud. But they're the Beatles. They can do whatever they want. The guy's dead for 40 years, and still is still famous. So the goal here is to give you the opportunity and technology to build a portfolio of video on your YouTube channel where the volume is consistent. And we track that. We want there are videos of King of Kings, they have an average, approximated, and stable level across. You can zap between content from years ago and they will sound almost the same level. That's what we wanted to achieve. And it took years to achieve that. Okay? So, how we can achieve that? So, loudness meters, you have physical units like this that you can just put on your machine, and you're going to be able to listen, to hear, and see visually the loudness levels. But you also have free loudness meters that you can download and use in a computer. There are several ways of doing that. You can do that in a DAW, in a program where you're mixing the audio in your computer. If that's the case, maybe you're mixing the audio for a stream in your church in a computer where you have Logic Pro, Pro Tools, Reaper, some digital audio workstation we call DAW, and there you're putting all the EQ, the compressor, the effects, and all the stuff. You can put a loudness meter there and evaluate the loudness from there. You can do it in your mixing console like I'm doing here, okay? So there are even free loudness meters for you to do that. Here are some targets that every platform has. So let's say YouTube, Tidal, and Spotify, the maximum level should be minus 1.0 true peak. The integrated loudness, the target is minus 14. Okay? And it's a normative that's their own. They decided they will be that. Okay? If you send it something that's too loud, it will change the playback level? Yes, they will. They just bring it down. We'll never bring it up. So if you upload something that's very soft on YouTube, it will stay too soft there. Okay? And that's a problem. Because if you're mixing something, and when you're doing this video, let's say mixing live or in post, you need to ask the customer, the client, and say, hey, where this thing will gonna be showed, like displayed. Where this thing is for YouTube, is for TV, it's European TV, it's American TV, because European TV, they have their standards also. Okay? The EBU R128, and the loudness target there is minus 23. The American TV, which this is the standard ATSC A85, is a different loudness target. Okay? So if I'm doing something for TV and I put that thing in the YouTube, it would sound 10 dB lower than it should be. That's 10 times lower. Okay? So sometimes you need to do the work for TV and for YouTube. It's two different products you need to prepare. Okay? So every platform has their own loudness standard, maximum true peak levels, and you need to know about that. I think at some point, all this difference will be reduced, and we're going to end up something around minus 16. I think this is the goal, where we're going. So these are some of the tools that we use to achieve that maximum level, the true peak maximum level. They are true peak limiters. And sometimes people have trouble trying to make their mix sound that loud. because it's hard. It's very hard. It's like walking, standing in a hammock, in a walking line. Because we want the whole service, in the case of a church service, okay? We want the whole service to be uploaded to YouTube with a target level of minus 14. Okay? That's our target. But in the service, we have a pre-service video. Then we have worship. And that's music. It's full spectrum. It's low frequency. It's kick drums. It's bass. It's snare drum. Pa! Pa! It's guitars. It's 4, 5 vocals screaming at the top of the lungs. It's effects. It's very loud, very powerful, and filling the whole spectrum. Then after that, you have a silent prayer or the read of the word. And Sister Mary, she's speaking so softly. And you need to make Sister Mary sound as loud as that rock band. Because people at home are expecting to hear that, and they don't want to get the remote and adjust the volume. So it's very hard. And also after that, you might have like another worship section, video announcements, and then the sermon, the preaching. So you see how different and these magnitudes are. You're going to have a very loud section of worship and a very soft section of preaching, speech. And speech also have a very narrow bandwidth in terms of frequency. You don't have low end. It's just mid frequencies and mid highs and high frequencies. So you need to make the worship section a little above minus 14, because the speech section will not be that loud. If you put the two on the same loudness level, this thing will sound super loud, because it's just one voice, as loud as a rock band. You see the difference? So no, I still think the loudness level should be improved, because the numbers still don't tell the whole story. So in my experience, what I do is music, let's say when they're playing, I'm aiming at minus 12, minus 11, which is pretty loud. And I'll tell you, above minus 9, nothing sounds good. Start to become very distorted. Okay? So I need to keep my band on minus 12, minus 11, minus 13, above the target, because the speech, I will never be able to bring above minus 16, minus 17. It starts to become too loud. So a loud section of minus 12 with a big section of minus 17, minus 18, at the end, might give me an average of minus 14. But if we get minus 15, minus 16, I'm totally happy. It's a very good, stable program. Okay? Nobody would tell you that. There's no standard in this written. These are years of experience trying and making mistakes. And I can tell you, between music and speech, 6 loudness units of difference, they will sound the same, as loud as each other. Okay? So this is gold. So in these true peak limiters, I'm going to adjust the true peak value to the desired maximum output level that I want. Minus 2, minus 3. This one, I have to put the ceiling. That's the value I want maximum, and engage the true peak option. So every plugin has a different way of doing that, but you need to be able to find that. If you use a limiter, it doesn't say in nowhere, it doesn't say true peak is not true peak. And you might adjust the maximum level for this, and you might end up with louder levels than that. Okay? You can do it post. Guys that work in post, when you're exporting the video, sometimes in your video editor software, you can put there maximum true peak level, or you can even ask the software to do some loudness normalization and bring the loudness levels of the video into desired long-term level that you're looking for. Let's say you were exporting a video to YouTube, so you go there and say loudness, maximization, normalization, and it will ask you target. What's the target that you want? These little guys here from Rode, when you connect them to the computer, you can extract the audio recording that I've been talking to the whole morning here. And when you're exporting, it will ask you, do you want me to export it to a loudness level target? And it does already for me. It brings the sound into a loudness level appropriate for my platform. It's amazing. So if you want to get the audio from here, put into a video and go to YouTube, you just put on the output there, target, minus 14 loudness units. The software will already extract the audio and put it on the level that you want. That's phenomenal. It will take us 2-3 hours to do that before this type of stuff. Okay? So this guy took a lot of work from me. But I love it anyway. Okay? So as we told before, when we have equipment that have different maximum output levels and maximum input levels, we need to read the literature, read the user manual as everything that we do. That's the first starting point. Nobody does that, I know that. And thanks to these people, we have work. Because they do mistakes and we go there and fix. Mm-hmm.
The sound should be, the text should be higher and music lower.
The opposite. Music louder and speech lower. 6 dB between them, it will sound the same level. Okay? So in case of we have these discrepancies between equipment, we need to adjust the gain. I can adjust the gain on the input of the second device, or I can adjust the output of my source device. Let's say this is plus 24 maximum output level. This maximum input level is plus 18. I can just make this guy become plus 18 maximum output, and they will be in the same level. So this mixer gives me an option that what's the maximum output level you want for your outputs? Plus 24 or plus 18? Amazing. So I can just go there and change, and all the outputs now are the same level as this guy. In this case, both of them are plus 24, so there's no adjustment. So I want to try to show you guys what would I do to adjust the level between my signal chain. Okay? So just to understand the portrait of what we're doing here. We have an audio mixer, which is outputting audio mixer here, okay? Which is outputting analog audio into video encoder. It's gonna receive this analog audio and will transfer it digitally to YouTube. Okay? So the only analog section that we have is between the audio mixer to the video encoder, also called video switcher in this case. And it's right here. These two cables, okay? So what would I do? I would, first of all, look for a way of playing back a video or an audio that I know the loudness level of that thing. This is what we do first, okay? Once I do that, I need to evaluate on my mixer what's the level. So I have here a file that says output of the file minus 14 loudness units. Okay, I'm gonna play that signal and I'm gonna come to the mixer and adjust the gain. So I have on the output of the mixer, when that video is playing, a loudness reading of minus 14. Okay, now I calibrated the mixer for that file. The file plays at minus 14, my mixer receives it and plays, and the output of the mixer minus 14. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna send the same signal from the mixer into that guy. And from that guy, I'm gonna send to YouTube. And on YouTube, I'm going to ask YouTube to record the video, upload it, and then I'm going to evaluate the video. Okay? So let's try to do that. Fasten your seatbelts. Okay. So here, I'm going to show you it's in the mixer. Okay. So here I have a video that I'm going to play, and it says the loudness level is -14. Okay. Harry, we need to bring down the mixer level. Okay, so problem is going to be this one. Yeah. So you're going to just bring down here. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And pay attention, maybe people at home would tell that the music's too loud compared to my voice, and you then use the lower faders to compensate them. Thank you. Okay, so this guy here was supposed to be playing at -14. So I'm gonna adjust the level here, the mixer. You see the fader moving here? Okay. I'm trying to achieve here -14. I'm gonna put the fader on 0. And something here that I need to do is in this case, the sound of this video is coming to the mixer and is going to the processing that I have on the mixer. I have compressors, I have few things doing the work for me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna disengage those processors. Okay. So I'm gonna turn them off. Equalizer, stereo spreader, and this guy here. This guy is some guy that we like to use in order to achieve this amazing volume that we need in our programs, okay? And it's not able to have a processor like this in most of the mixers. This is something that was you could only access and find it on Studio. So this is what we call maximizer. A maximizer is a dynamics processor, a type of compressor that gets something that is very soft and brings it to a very loud level. And they sound great. It's like cheating. It's very hard to achieve that with real physical processors, okay? But they became part of everything we do. So, with the help of this guy, once things go to this guy, levels can go up really, really fast. So I'm turning off all this stuff, getting back to my test signal, and I'm gonna adjust the gain of it. Okay, let me play this thing again. Okay. Let me get the loudness meter back. Okay, here it is. Let me detach it so we have it. Okay. So how much? Let me reset it. Okay. So my short term is -12. It was supposed to be how much? -14. So in this case, I can do two stuff. I can bring the fader down. You see the fader? Okay. I can bring the fader down. If I do that, I'm gonna lose the reference. So I'm gonna stick with the volume here to the 0. So I don't have to think about it. It's gonna be in 0. I'm not gonna touch this thing. Okay? And I'm gonna just adjust the gain on the channel input. Okay? So I'm gonna reduce the gain here until I have a minus 14 reading. Almost there. Let's see now. Yeah. Okay. You see that even a little target here appears. Okay. So now I know that the playback system, which is my computer, to the mixer, it's calibrated. Whatever the computer says minus 14, now is minus 14 on my mixer. I'm not gonna touch the volume of this output anymore. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to play the same video into my YouTube channel. And I'm gonna record a video of that segment on YouTube. What I'm hoping here, I'm hoping that once I get to YouTube, I also get a minus 14 loudness units reading. Does it make sense? Okay. So let's do that. Okay. Now I need to press. Okay, Vehicle, I need your help. Should I just go on air this thing? Okay, let me see if the YouTube channel, we have something there happening. Okay, it's live. Okay. So I already ruined the test. Why? Because I start the video and there was no sound. So now the loudness there is computing and nothing is happening. So that's the wrong way to do it. I need to start the test with the audio at the known level. Okay? So I'm gonna stop this thing. Let's see if the video will stop. And for the next one, we're gonna do it right. Okay? I think stopped. Okay. Yeah, let's wait until this thing goes. Okay. Now I'm gonna start. And you can now, Harry, you can just kill the speakers because it's gonna be very annoying. Okay. Let me see. The YouTube channel is. Yeah, I want to stop this thing. Let me reload the page. Yeah, I think this is waiting for me to stop it. But I have already stopped. Okay, now it's out. He got tired of me. Okay. Okay, so here we go. Okay, I released the audio. Now I'm gonna start my stream. Let me get back to the beginning. Okay. So now it's streaming. And I'm recording this thing. Not sure if the channel is transmitting. Back to the beginning. I don't think the channel is Veiko. I'm trying here to upload the video to your channel. We just did it. I don't know if you have to wait a little time, but I already started back again. And here is your page. It doesn't show it's on live.
But there's 2 items there.
Yeah, we did this a few minutes ago, and this is we did the test in the morning. It's not live, right?
It's not live, but it's streaming.
It is streaming? No, this was a few moments ago.
Yeah, so it did it.
Yeah, but I want to do it again.
Okay, the same. Okay, so I have to activate that from my laptop.
Okay. You can bring this tone a little bit down, please. Yeah. It's good, thank you. Should I stop the stream here? Okay. Okay. So engage there, please. So,
It's waiting for a stream.
okay. Here we go. Is it streaming?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see, you need a lot of patience and time to do that in your organization. At some point, you need to stop, take a whole afternoon to do all these tests. But once you did it, it's there forever. If you're expecting to do this right before an event starts, okay, I will leave at least 1 minute. Then I can just press off.
Yeah, I have to end here.
Okay, so 9 more seconds. And you can press stop. 3, 2, 1. Stop there, Veiko.
So you stop anything.
Here?
From the yeah.
Okay. Is it there?
Yeah, 1 second, it's waiting.
Okay. So now we're gonna wait for the video to go up to the YouTube catalog. And then I want to show something to you. Once the video goes up, let me show another video here. Harry, we change to this one? Yeah, thank you.
Remember I told you about the 30 seconds YouTube waiting to see if you still continue or not. So it's waiting now the 30 seconds, but before
We're together again.
So here we have a video, and when we click with the right button, Stats for Nerds, it's gonna show me the loudness content of that video. So on that video, the loudness was 1.2 dB above the target for the average. It was a pretty loud video, okay? Now, once the video that we just recorded goes into the catalog of my channel, this thing will not be available at the first moment. The volume normalize. Why? You're gonna tell me like I'm in a post-live manifestness state. Okay, let's go there. Live videos, still not there. Huh? Okay, here it is. This is the video that we just did. When I click to the right with the right button, it doesn't show me the volume, you see? Live mode, pulse live, manifestless. Manifestless. Yeah. Okay. So I need to wait a few minutes until this thing gets fully analyzed by YouTube, and then YouTube gonna give me a loudness reading. So it takes time. It's something that we cannot do before the event. You need to do it the day before. You need to really stop whatever you're doing to try to do that. So we need to wait. Okay? So, what are the problems we might have? The challenge that we might have now, we need to wait for this thing, okay? Is that I might have some volume, some level imbalance between my mixer and that guy. That's what might happen. Okay? If that happens, once I already calibrated my mixer, I know the problem is right there. Right? Because we did the test here. We played the video at -14. The mix is reading -14 at the output. I didn't check the loudness meter, but probably was also showing that. Okay, let me change here. I need to change it for. Okay. So, and now imagine if I have another component. For example, if I'm taking out of the mixer, going to this little analog mixer, which everything is by hand, and I cannot dial precise values. It can be a nightmare. You can be there like for a whole day trying to adjust. Oh, it's 2 dB lower, it's 1 dB hot, and so it can be very complicated. Let's see if our video went into. And another thing, you cannot you can't see the stats for nerds in your phone. Only in the desktop. Which is pretty bad, right? Okay. So let's go there. Oh, this is your computer, right? Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Oh, come on. Okay. Let me get back there. This is our stats for nerds. Still post live. We need to wait a little bit more. Okay. So let me show you while we wait for that video. I'm gonna show how we do live. Okay? Now, Harry, can bring a little bit up here. A little more here in the speakers. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, man. It's distorting a bit there. Huh? No, it's okay. No, it's okay. Yeah, maybe. This is what they call stereo one. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, sure. Okay, it sounds little little funky here in the house. So for example, here here I have my band playing. But my loudness levels are still too low. That's driving me crazy this. So when I engage my mastering, let me just move this loudness meter here. Okay. I'm still too low. I should be here now around minus 14, minus 13, because there's a loudest section on the song. Okay. Let me engage my processors that I have in my master bus. Okay. I have an equalizer. It's gonna give some more high end, some more high frequencies. Okay. I have this guy here who's not doing anything. I have this guy here doing some widening on the stereo, which I'm not going to be able to perceive here. And I have my loudness maximizer, okay? I'm gonna show you what it does. So when I bring the threshold down, look how the level changes. Okay? I get a lot of level more. Without it, okay? So this guy helps me a lot to have a nice level and without worrying about the peaks, because it will take some of the peaks out. Here on this control called out ceiling, I can define how much loud I want its output. Okay? So here's the final gain adjustment. If I put it too low here, it will reduce a lot. So the output, I'm gonna put around what I want, because after that I have a true peak limiter that will set the final levels, okay? What I'm looking here, especially is this guy, the attenuation one, you see here? This little bar where the red comes down. Right here, you see? I don't want this guy to compress more than 5 dBs. Things start sounding a little funky. Okay? So I'm here right at the moment at a very good ballpark. Minus 4.4. It's pretty good. Okay? Process is ready. Let's go there and check our our stream. Okay. Okay, we found the mouse cursor. No, still not. You see that? It shows the
Content loudness, volume normalized 100%, 100%. Content loudness minus 0.6 dB.
yeah, we're pretty there. So on YouTube, we are minus 0.6 dB. Okay, I wouldn't touch anything. 1 dB, it's already too small difference, okay? So if I want to adjust something there, I would come here probably at my video switch and raise 0.6 dB of gain. But I would do that because when it's less than 1, I don't touch it. So now I know that my whole chain is calibrated. Whatever is minus 14 here is going to be minus 14 at YouTube. And sometimes you're doing everything wrong, right? You got the levels right here, but when you check your videos on YouTube, the levels are too loud or too soft. So the problem is not in your mixer, it's already in the other department, is the video world, and you need to be able to evaluate that, okay? Let's see if it shows here for us. Still not funny. Yeah, let me go there. Still not. Okay. Okay, getting back to live here. We're gonna wait a few minutes more. Okay.
Maybe because I'm logged into my channel, it gives information.
Yeah. Funny, yeah. But it's good to know that you got it first there, because we can just cut time and go instead of doing that. That's amazing. That's a great find. So live, what I'm gonna do, in order to achieve the maximum level, I need to have true peak limiter. And as I told you guys, at this moment, doesn't come to my mind any mixer in the market that has a true peak limiter. So sometimes you put the limiter on the mixer to achieve that maximum level, and you're still not getting it. You need to go through a processor that has true peak limiter, okay? This mixer gives me the studio tools and post-production tools to bring it here. So everything that I do, especially, let me just, for a few moments, show what I do for the vocals. For the vocals, for example, if let's go to the preaching section of my recording. And that's very hard because here I do have a vocal who's changing.
Read from a book, but here, yeah. But it's good to have a Bible with you.
Our dear Pastor Vaco's there.
Commanding you
Look at you.
and come with a scroll.
Okay. So here's his original voice.
Praise God. Well, yeah. We are at this series this summer.
You hear how much the breathing comes to the mic? That's normal to every mic. Okay? So what we're gonna do to tame that?
Different pictures,
We're gonna put some filtering.
how they experience God.
So I have some filter here on this section. You guys can see here filters. There's a little yellow dot. Okay? I'm filtering the low frequency here, which is made by the air, the air blast through the microphone, okay? Something around 100 to 120 hertz. I'll never go above that. I'm using something, you guys can see the stuff here. I'm using a de-esser on the low part of the voice just to tame the poof of his vocal. So this is an important concept that I always try to do. I never try to do something that I need very drastically, like reducing this poof, poof from his voice. I will never use one processor to do that. I will share the work between two processes. So a little bit is being reduced by the filter that I just showed you, the high cut filter. Sorry, the low cut filter right here. And the other one is by the de-esser, but the de-esser is just listening to the low frequency. A de-esser is a compressor that was invented to take the the sibilance of the voice. So this circuit, the de-esser, it's a compressor which is just listening to the S of the voice. How they would do that in the past? They would put the vocal in one channel of the mixer, analog mixer, those big analog mixers. That's the original channel where the microphone was connected. Okay? They would take a copy of that channel and put into the following channel. On the following channel, they would use the equalizer to enhance even more the S of the voice. So they would put a high frequency filter, boost it until the S becomes, the sibilance becomes so pronounced that's exaggerated. On the second channel, with the exaggerated S, you would turn the volume down and not put on the speakers. Then, now that you exaggerated the S on the second channel, you get the output of that channel on the back of that mixer and feed into a compressor input called sidechain. So the compressor has an input and an output, but also has another input called the sidechain input. The sidechain input is an input that enables that it engages the compressor. So the compressor can be compressing, let's say, a guitar, but listening to another thing on the sidechain input, like a vocal. Where did they start using that thing? When you listen to the radio, the announcer is speaking and there's music playing on the back, right? Whenever he stops speaking, the music goes up, right? And when he starts speaking again, the music goes down, right? How they do that? They use a compressor on the music channel, but on the sidechain input of the compressor, they put the voice of the announcer. So the compressor is compressing the music, but it's just listening to the voice of the announcer. Whenever it detects voice, it compresses whatever is in the input. So the compressor is compressing music, but never listening to the music. Why? Because on the sidechain input, I'm giving the compressor voice from the announcer. So I'm using the same concept that we call ducking into taking the S of the voice. I'm giving to this compressor the voice with the exaggerated S. So the S is super loud compared to the rest of the voice. I give that signal into the sidechain compressor, and I get this compressor, I patch into the original voice channel. So whenever the guy speaks S, the compressor hears it exaggeratedly. It's like, wow, it's super loud. And compress the voice in just that brief moment. And then you have a de-esser. It's a compressor that's just listening to the S on the voice. And you can expand that concept to anywhere. In electronic music, they do that. They put a pad, which is a sound, is a continuous sound, like, and the kick drum start carving that pad. every time the kick drum hits the note, the pad gets compressed. And then the kick drum become musical to the pad. So here I'm just doing that. I'm putting a de-esser to listen the low frequency of his voice. Whenever he speaks something low, poof, poof, the compressor is here and lowers the voice just in that moment, and then brings the level normal for the rest of the words. So without the processing,
And there were Jews continuing living in the kingdom of Judah during the captivity. Most of the Jews in the captivity actually
you hear the explosion?
turned back to the
Let's
Lord.
engage the processing.
But after the fall of the Neo-Babylonian kingdom empire,
Way better,
Jews
right?
had the freedom to
Okay.
return here.
I have some equalization here,
Most of them chose to go up north or west.
and I have some gating also. Whenever he doesn't speak,
So around
this guy here, you guys see?
26 BC,
Whenever he doesn't speak,
Jeremiah
I reduce the volume of his channel 6 dB.
receives a call from the Lord.
Exactly. Prevent noise, prevent feedback, prevent,
You feel excited sometimes?
You know?
You feel burdened.
and then I'm going to start adding a lot of compression to bring the volume up. Okay?
King Josiah
So I have this one.
turned this nation towards repentance.
Without it,
from idolatrous practices.
With it,
According
okay?
to the books of Kings
I have another one,
and
it's
Jeremiah,
identical.
these reforms that King Josiah had
Instead of using one compressor to do a lot of
not
compression,
enough
I'm using two.
to save
You do a little bit, and you do a
Judah
little
and
bit more.
Jerusalem from destruction that was caused
Is
by
that
the
I don't
sin
hear the compressor
of
working
Manasseh,
much. It's working in a
Josiah's
very
grandfather,
clean
and Judah's
part,
lust
'cause if I
for
put it to
idolatry
compress a
and
lot,
foreign gods, among other great sins. Not enough. So we read from Jeremiah 1 how this young man receives a call from God. It says here, in
its compressor is very good. You can
chapter
barely hear.
1, verse 4.
But I start to
The
hear,
word of the Lord came to me.
you see what the
Jeremiah
compression,
saying,
now even
before I formed
his
you in the
mouth,
womb,
you
I
can
knew
hear
you.
every
And
noise.
before you were born,
Because with the
I set
compression,
you apart.
we're raising everything that's low,
I appointed you as
and
a
we're
prophet
limiting everything that's loud.
to the nations.
So now
Allah's sovereign Lord, I said,
the mouth
do not
noise
know how
becomes
to
as loud
speak.
as the voice,
I'm too young.
which is absurd.
Like these two brothers.
Okay?
But the Lord said to me, do not say I am too young. You must go to everyone I sent you and say whatever I command you. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with
And
you.
I use a
and
third
I will
compressor
rescue
even.
you, declares the Lord. Then the Lord reached out his hand and touched my mouth and said to me,
Now I'm going to
I
try
have
to do
put
something.
words
I'm going to bring
your
the
mouth.
noise gate
See,
up.
today I appoint you over the nations and kingdoms to uproot and to tear down and destroy, to overthrow and build and to plant. I will pronounce my judgment on my people because of their wickedness in forsaking me, in burning
Now with the
incense to other
gates.
gods, and in
Now with the gate on this plugin, I'm bringing down every time he does the mouth noises, the microphone channel will be closed and we just open just for voice. It helps me a lot to get all of these noises, unwanted noises.
bronze wall
Out
to
of it.
stand against the whole land,
You see?
against the kings of Judah, its officials, its priests, and the people of the land.
The mouth noise is gone.
They will fight against
Only
you,
if it's too loud, we'll open
but
it.
will not overcome you. For I am with you, and I will rescue you, declares the Lord.
Without it
This is the call
and with
out
it.
message for Jeremiah.
Okay?
I believe he's very frightened, scared.
This one is another
As it says,
compressor
he feels
that
that
tames
it's an impossible task.
more frequency
shaking.
specifically. With this one, I can just look to the real-time analyzer, which is this device that shows me the frequency in real time, and I can see if there's something that's speaking, something that is too loud, some part of the frequencies are too loud. For example, here on this one, you guys see? There's a peak. Probably is the S on his voice. Let's see.
I will blot you out. You will perish. These horrible words.
Yeah, that's them. I'm soloing just now. So with this plugin, I can listen parts of his voice and identify something that I don't like very precisely. We love it.
And, in Israel, it's more culturally appropriate to preach from a scroll. So I made one myself. I always make one myself so that, when I go to Finland, you can have a Bible.
Okay. So, and I have another one here, which is also a noise
in Israel,
reduction.
It's more culturally appropriate to preach from a scroll. So I made one myself. I always make one myself so that, when I go to Finland.
So we come
you
from
can
this
have a
thing
Bible.
here.
Read from the book, but here, yeah. But it's good to have a Bible with you. I'm not condemning you.
Into this thing here,
Didn't come with a scroll.
where you can hear every word that he say. It's
Praise
more
God.
stable. It's more defined.
Well, yeah.
So what I'm trying to achieve here is to give stability to the program. Ideally, if he was able to speak for 1 hour, telling stories, citing the Bible at the same volume, I didn't have to do anything, but it's impossible. There's a lot of emotion there. Sometimes he will laugh, sometimes he will cry. So there's a lot of changing, a lot of dynamic in that. And that's what we're trying to achieve here, is to minimize the dynamic so people have consistency listening to the program at home. Okay? Let's try. Let's see if we can see here the... Okay, there it is. Okay. Still not. Yeah, still not. Anyway, it might take time. Thank God he was able to. Can you take a print for us, Veiko, and send to this thing?
Yeah.
So we can just put here on the screen. Okay. So ideally, I recommend you guys to build this culture of testing and evaluating things all the time. For example, when I work, every time that I do a live mix on a mixer, I have a recorder recording my mix. So if we have a problem and the client says, oh, something was not proper, the sound was coming this and that from the mixer, I can retrieve the recording, give to him. I just did this with Ants the other day. We were recording something, we have a problem. I sent to him audio and he was able to put back to the video. Okay. Okay. So here is... Well, what video is this?
It's the next video. But wait.
No, this is not our video. Not our video. Yeah, maybe still hasn't. Yeah. So you see, it takes time. And sometimes I finish the service and I go home listening to the recording, and still after I listen to the whole service, the thing hasn't come up. Especially if it's a long video, it will take a long time to be analyzed. So my dear friends, basically is that's what I want to show you guys, the process that we do to calibrate all the system. As more devices you put in the signal chain, more steps you need to evaluate. And to be honest, sometimes you don't have the tools to do that. If I want to have a -14 reading on that little mixer, I don't have, because there's a -9, -6, oh, -9, -15, -20 LED there. There's no mark for -14. So it's a little complicated, and we need to have time and the tools like this to be able to evaluate all that stuff. Okay? So thank you very much. Thanks for your patience. And I hope you guys can stick in contact with us. We have more. I'm planning to do a long course, 25-hour long, 8 classes, audio from scratch. From the beginning, we go through all the signal chain. Let me know if you're interested in joining us. And it's going to tell you about the equipment that we use in the sound system: microphones, cabling, mixers, compressors, EQs, loudspeaker processors, amplifiers, loudspeakers, headphones. And the last class, we do a practical class. We all assemble a sound system together. And ideally, we have a band playing live so we can practice that. Okay? Character. Thank you very much. Have a great Shabbat. Thank you, Pastor Veiko. Thank you, Harry. See you next time.